Hello with History Hikers, I'm Dries.
And I'm Jente.
Welcome to our last history hike in the Elzas.
For now.
We're gonna go do a tour around Mont Saint-Odile, see a couple of castles, a couple of cool spots, and you're going with us. Let's go! It's straight into the action on this one. Shortly after setting off on our history hike, we encounter a very old grave, signposted as Merovingian. There's a second one close by. These are two 7th century graves, originally covered by tumuli. Many valuable objects were uncovered in them, which makes researchers believe these were very high-ranking people. Perhaps even the family of Duke Alaric and his daughter Odile, who were the founders of the famous Abbey of Hohenburg, the sanctuary of Mont Saint-Odile as it is known today.
The 7th century history continues when a little while later we discover the remains of Le Mur Païen, or Pagan Wall. It's an 11-kilometer enclosure around the Mont Saint-Odile plateau. This large opening in the wall served as an entrance into the enclosure. Many of the stones were held together with wooden dovetails. Research on these dovetails concludes that they date to the 7th century too. We will be rediscovering the wall a couple of times and discuss it again later in the video. But for now, it is time to push on. It wouldn't be long before we discovered our first castle ruin of the hike.
It is basking in sunlight. Birkenfels is a fairly small castle, but with some nice details. A small wall surrounds an outer courtyard, which protects the access to the main seigneurial dwelling. The dwelling itself is protected by arrow slits and a drawbridge. On its southern end, a large pentagonal keep was built, but never finished. What makes the castle really interesting is that it was built illegally. If you want to hear more about this illegal construction, you can hop over to our full video on Birkenfels via the card on the top right or the link in the description. The sun came out fully by now, drenching our walk in glorious autumnal sunlight as we made our way over to our second castle.
As you can see by the map, heading towards Kagenfels Castle was a bit of a detour, but one we were happy to take if it gave us another ruin to explore. Our happy hopes turned somewhat sour when we noticed that the ruins were not accessible at this time due to restoration works. On the bright side, it means that we can return to this beautiful region again in the future to visit this stunning ruin in full.
So up the hill we went once more as we made our way back towards Mont Saint-Odile and our third castle, all the while passing through scenic forests and over calm streams. Soon enough we would catch sight of the ruins of Dreistein. The next castle found! To reach the ruins, we had to go down a path that only exists on my app, which means straight through a pine thicket.
Dreistein is a collective of 3 castle ruins on 2 rocks, with 2 of the 3 castles joined together to seemingly form one whole castle. It served to protect the Abbey of Hohenburg and therefore was abandoned when the abbey was abandoned too. The ruins are not stabilized, so entering them, as always, is at your own risk. And on our breezy day, we did feel like those stones could fall any minute. If you want to know if he would survive this dangerous place or not, you can check out the full video. Spoiler, we came out unscathed.
Now that we were back on the Mont Saint-Odile hillside, we encountered the Mur Payen again. This is the Köberle Gate, another entrance into the enclosure. Many speculations have been made to the purpose of this long wall. A refuge for the population of the plain, a Celtic stronghold, a sacred enclosure, a Roman fort, the list goes on. What can be said for certain is that both the ancient Celts and the Romans have been known to visit this hill, and, as we mentioned before, In the 7th century, the wall might have been rebuilt with wooden dovetails to serve as protection for the abbey, which was founded around the same time. The name Pagan Wall was invented in the 11th century in a papal bull by Leo IX, awarded to the Abbey of Hohenburg. The wall delineates our path for a long way. This ancient structure is at times even taller than I am. We followed the wall all the way to our next castle ruin, Hagelschloss.
Hagelschloss was probably built in the 13th century. During construction, stones were incorporated from the Mur-Paillon. The same is also true for Dreisheim, by the way. The stronghold was destroyed during a siege in the early 15th century and never rebuilt. It was flattened quite thoroughly because its remains are fairly minimal, with just some walls here and there. We didn't explore it fully as rain was coming down and we wanted to get on with our hike. We give it a 4 out of 10 on the arbitrary subjective castle score.
We now entered the final stretch of our hike as we made our way back up the hill. On the crest, we stumbled upon another gate into the Mur-Paillon. This time, the northern gate. The wall is smaller than what we saw before, though the width of the gate attests to the amount of traffic that must have passed through here.
As we were following the path, we suddenly found ourselves on the outside of the Pagan Wall. Even in its dilapidated state, this ancient wall still looked menacing. A little ways on, a rock juts out from the hillside and offers stunning views over the valley below. From here, it wouldn't be long until we made it out into a clearing. A nice place to end our last history hike in Alsace.
We're at the end of our hike. Thank you so much for joining us.
And like, comment, subscribe and all that good YouTube stuff if you want to see more of these crazy hikes.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye!